Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you are in the world. Nice to see you. Before we start, today's session is going to be really interactive. You're not just going to come out with insights, you're going to come through or come out with actual strategies that you can put into action straight away. So you're going to need to have pen and paper. If you don't already, please go and grab some now. Perfect. And if you're comfortable, I'd love it if you can come on camera, just so that I can see and pace the session and how quickly we go based on where you are. Lovely. Thank you ever so much. All right, let's start. Welcome to Focus Your Time for Success. My name is 𝐒𝐮𝐬 𝐘𝐨𝐮𝐬, and I'm a performance and wellbeing coach working with Consulting Point. Before becoming a coach, I worked in corporate for 23 years, both across Asia and the UK. And it's always been really, really important for me to have both outer success and inner stillness and peace, which has meant a lot of building the plane as I fly it and juggling a lot of different activities, and also learning really how to optimize my time for best effort. So this is some of the stuff I'm looking forward to sharing with you today. So the title of this session is Focus Your Time for Success. And those are really the three components that we're going to be drilling into. You know, where is your focus right now? How can we sharpen it? How are you using your time? And is that to best effect? How can we change that and optimize it too? And then what are the levers that really create success for you? And how can we lean into those and let go of the things that distract you? So the idea is by the end of it, you will have the means to be more productive and less busy. Sound good? All right, perfect. Now, I would love it if you interrupt me, ask questions. This is highly immersive. This is especially for you on this call to make the most of this hour. So let's jump in. Let's start with the focus part. So, you know, at the moment, during your typical work day, where is your focus? Do you find that your brain is like a bag of frogs? You're trying to do one thing and then you've got your phone pinging and other people sort of coming in, and it feels like you are trying to do so much, right? And so one of the things that it's important to understand is how your mind works. Contrary to popular belief, we can only focus on one single item at a time. We might think we can multitask. We might, you know, say, this is amazing, I'm great at multitasking. But actually what your brain does is it toggles between two objects. And what they've done in studies is they've quantified the effect on how multitasking affects our productivity. And it's actually the equivalent of drinking 2 glasses of wine. That's how much it impacts you. And I would much rather have the 2 glasses of wine and the focus where I need it. So if you do find that you're constantly being distracted, one of the things that I highly recommend you do is keep a distraction log. So you get a blank piece of paper next to you, and whenever a thought arises, right, and you need to attend to it straight away, write it down in your distraction log in capital letters, right, in pen, not pencil. These are psychological tricks to make sure that your brain really acknowledges it, right? And as you go throughout your task, just keep on jotting it down. And then at the end of your task, you can look through this distraction log and ask yourself, which of this is really important? Which of this do I intentionally want to put my focus on? Because this actually has a psychological effect. When we're trying to work on one task and our mind is butting in and saying, but look at this, look at this, look at this, it thinks it's doing us a favor, but it's actually distracting us. So our mind can actually relax once it feels like we've jotted down that important information, and we can come back to it later. And from there, we're at choice, as opposed to being bounced around all the time and not really getting tasks done to best effect. So focus is really key. The next thing that's really important to know is it's not just hours that you put into work. It's the energy that you bring, because managing your time efficiently means nothing if you're absolutely drained, right? You want to be on point, on focus, getting things done with the right amount of energy, especially important when it comes to sales and relationships, right? Because what you put in is what you get out. So 80% of doctors' visits are actually stress related. right? And what happens when we are stressed is our body creates all of these chemicals, this cortisol, this adrenaline. And it's great if you want to, survive, run away, or freeze, but it's not great if you want to be really creative or resourceful or productive. So make sure that you're constantly mentoring your own energy. Be aware of what drains your energy. Be aware of what creates energy. And if you want, we can have a whole other session on just how to optimize energy, but it's worth adding in at this point. And then the final bit before we actually get into an exercise so that you can create and craft this to your own life is protect your non-negotiables. It's really important to know what's really important for you, right? What is it that you aren't willing to give up under any cost? Is it your health? Is it your family? Is it a passion project? So often people go into work because they want to succeed so that they can do something, right? It might be to earn enough money to have that lovely house and time with their family traveling. That's the goal, right? As opposed to being sucked into this vortex of only working and never having that time with your family. So really set your intentions with what your non-negotiables are. And later on, we will weave that into how you plan your time. But I'm going to ask you to just take a moment now to consider what to you is non-negotiable in terms of your time spent and energy spent. And then just jot that down. Okay, wonderful. Thank you. All right, next we're going to jump into an exercise which looks at how we can optimize your time. So grab your piece of paper and I want you to draw a big circle. And in that circle, we're going to cut it up so that it looks like pizza slices. It's going to look something like this, right? So you've got 8 slices. So you cut it in half on the vertical, cut it in half on the horizontal, and then you do the diagonal. I think this has only got 7 slices, but you really want 8. Now, what I want you to have a think about are what are the key categories in your work and also your non-negotiables you want to put in there. This is how you're currently spending your time and your energy, right? And I've put some examples on this page here. And what you want to do is go around the outside. Don't put the label on the inside, but just put it, if this was a pizza, it would be just outside the crust, right? So I've just put a couple in here as examples: team development, project planning, client servicing, biz dev, data analysis, health and leisure and family. But make this personal to you, right? Where are you currently spending, or where should you be spending? What are the key buckets? And feel free to add any in the chat for inspiration to others, if you like. That's it. And give me a thumbs up when you're done. Fabulous. Okay. All right, so if we imagine 0 is at the center of the pizza and 10 is at the crust, what I want you to do is go through each one of these categories and draw a line across that represents the amount of time and energy you currently spend on each one of these. So it's going to end up looking a bit like a wonky spider web, a bit like this. And just write the number that represents how much time and focus you currently spend.
Georgia, it looks like someone can't see the graphics you're putting up. Are you able to maybe stop sharing and reshare them again? I think maybe
yes.
people who...
Happy to do that. Thank you, Matt.
Yeah,
right,
no worries.
Stop share.
Thanks, Matt.
How do I stop? Oh, there we go. It's over here. Stop sharing, stop presenting, and let's come back on. And if you can't see it, it's not a problem. I can completely talk you through it. Most of the time I do a lot of my presentations without doing PowerPoint, but for this instance, it's quite useful. Can you see that now?
No, so maybe I'll go out and come back in again.
Okay, if not, don't worry about it. I want you just to imagine that in each triangle, each slice of the pie, what you're doing is, let's say if the amount of time that you're spending on it is 2 out of 10, you just draw a line across that segment that represents 2 out of 10 and write 2. So what you'll see is, imagine each number, you've got a different line across. It will look like a wonky spider web. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Got it. I'm still going to try and go out and join again.
Okay, sure. All right, perfect. Now, once you've done that, and take as much time as you need, I want you to have a look at how you're currently spending your time and focus. And just notice what comes up for you as you look at this. And jot down your thoughts. Are you able to see it now, Peter?
No.
No.
That's fine.
Yeah. All right, when you're ready, I would love to get some shares. Who would be willing to share what they've noticed about how you're currently using your time and energy? Just come off mic and feel free. Yes, Matt.
So yeah, I think what I've noticed is I'm spending the majority of my time between being at home with my wife and in the office making the Leicester office performance better, but not necessarily spending as much time with family, friends, doing external activities. I'm probably a little too insular at the moment with where I am right now.
Mm. And what do you notice about that, about the being insular?
It's very opposite to what I would normally be, but I think the focus is so much at the moment on building and developing, and because I'm only 6 months into being married as well, it's kind of a lot of focus is spent there, and it's about building that balance, which I don't think I have right now, but probably could do with building out.
Great observation. Thank you. Anybody else want to share or any questions? This is your session, so feel free to sort of make the most of this time for the coaching and for the deep inquiry. No. Okay, no worries. I've got a question for you. As you look at this chart, this, we call it the wheel of life. As you look at it, does time and effort equal success? What are your thoughts? Please share. And feel free to drop in the chat if you don't want to come on mic. Does time and effort equal success? And this is an important question, especially as we're billing clients per hour, right? Yeah. What's your instinct on this? Please put it in the chat. Does time and effort equal success? It might be maybe in some areas, in which case, what are they?
Probably from a more family perspective, time and effort equals success, for sure.
Yeah. Beautiful. And in fact, you know, we talk about focus your time for success, which begs the question, what does success mean for you? Maybe take a moment and write that down.
Sorry, Georgina, to your point, or to your question earlier.
Yes, Ben.
I was thinking that my point would be you can't really have success without time and effort, but they're not necessarily linked. You can put plenty of time and effort in and not see success if you're not doing the right things.
Yeah.
And that I'd put that across, you know, work and personal life.
Yeah, exactly. They're not exactly weighted, are they? Sometimes you can just have really jammy people who have tremendous success with hardly any effort and hardly any time. Right? But often you need to put in the time and the effort. But if you sometimes it can feel like pushing water uphill if you're not focused on the right thing. Yeah. So it's an interesting dynamic. Yeah, great contribution. Thank you, Ben. So what does success mean for you? I can certainly share what success means for me, because I'm a coach. I think about all these things quite a lot. For me, success is freedom, emotional freedom and financial freedom. Financial freedom means that, you know, I don't have to worry about going on holiday or the mortgage or anything else. It's not even on my radar, right? Emotional freedom means that I'm not at the mercy of any negative inner critic, that I'm making an amazing emotional impact on other people's lives, right? That I'm free to make choices as to how I show up. So that to me is my success, but I'm all about performance and well-being. So I have to have one in each camp, right? Financial freedom and emotional freedom. So what does success mean to you? Drop it in the chat or come off mic. Because if we can't quantify it, how do we know when we've reached it? I'm going to give you a moment to just think this through and drop some stuff in if you feel comfortable. Yeah, beautiful. Security for children. What else? Choices. Ah, beautiful. Very powerful. Yeah. All right. Whenever you're ready, just give me the thumbs up, virtually or physically. And we'll move on. Okay. Perfect. Right. The next part of this exercise. If you've got a different colored pen, grab it. If not, we're going to just use, when you used a single line across, we're going to use dots or dashes or whatever it is, just so that you can demarcate it. So now what we're going to do, we've looked at, where you are now. I want you to have a think about thinking about success. Well, what does drive your business success and value the most? What tasks or categories really pushes business success and value, or whatever success means to you? And then jot that down. Because we've all heard about the 80-20 rule, right? The Pareto principle. And most of the time we're focusing on 80% of the distractions rather than really honing in on what will create the most value, create the most impact. Okay. I like to start the day with a very simple question. And I do it before I end up firefighting, looking at all my emails and firefighting. I just ask myself, what would I like to focus on first that will create 10 times the impact for whatever my business is or my focus is? What will create 10 times the impact, but with half the effort? And I will make sure that I get it done. Ideally first thing, but as a priority. Ask yourself, what would deliver me 10 times the impact with half the effort? Right now, think of a project.
Hi, I'd probably say planning accordingly.
Yeah.
That always helps me massively. If I've got a set agenda at the beginning of every day, it makes a huge difference in terms of goals and objectives.
Amazing. Thank you, Ravi. Exactly. Yeah. Setting your focus, planning the day. Brilliant. Any other shares? Where's the 20% for you? New client development. Yeah, exactly. Health. Brilliant. Yeah, I love doing a workout first thing in the morning. It just lifts my whole day. And I can process stuff when I'm in the gym or meditation or whatever it is for you. All right. So now we're going to actually go in and add to our wheel of life, right? So we've done where you're at now, where you're currently spending your focus and your time. What I want you to do is go back to that wheel and ask yourself for each of those categories, where do I want to get to so that I'm set up for success? So you're going to draw another line in each of those pies and make it dotted if you like, just so that you can tell the direction, and put the number in. And I like to draw a little arrow just so that it's easy visually to see the direction I need to go on each one of these key life categories or work categories. That's it. And when you're done, have a look at it and just notice what comes up for you. What have you noticed? Let's get some shares in the chat or come off mic. Have all of your categories increased? In which case, you know, how are you going to manage that if we're talking about focus and time? Or are you being very selective? Just notice what you can observe. This is actually a very interesting part of it because you can see the pressure that you put on yourself and how you choose to focus. How can you set yourself up for success? Focusing on the non-negotiables, right? And the 20% that really moves the needle. All right, thumbs up when you've done that. And let's get some shares. What do you notice? Okay. So we're gonna go into some depth now because it's really about executional strategies. So what I want you to do is pick two categories. Write them down. And then we're going to brainstorm. You ready? For each of these two items that you're going to focus on, that you choose to focus on, what are 3 things you can do to make them happen? You can have more than 3. Don't limit yourself, but at least 3 things that you can do today, now, to make them happen. then maybe let's take a pause and get some shares. And I'm going to invite you to be generous with your shares, because this is a rising tide that lifts all boats. Often somebody's brilliant idea will help other people. So this is the space of inspiration. Feel free to come off mic or drop into the chat. What are 3 things that you can do today to make it happen? I think you need a bit more time. I can see those ideas flowing. I'm loving this. I can see everybody's heads down, busy writing, ideas flowing, using your time productively, creating the time to plan. Yeah. Are you ready for another question? Yeah, as you're focusing on these 2 key areas and what you can do, what can you eliminate, automate, or delegate? Okay, I can see some heads still down. We're going to give ourselves another 30 seconds or so. Great. And then I'm going to ask for some brave volunteers to come and share their insights and their ideas so that we can all benefit. Just come off camera or come off mic or drop it in the chat. And maybe I can get us started. Here is something that one of my clients came up with as an idea as to how to streamline her processes. So I don't know if you get just a ton of emails and everything is marked urgent. And it's literally like you have 3,000 unread emails in your inbox. Hands up if that sounds familiar. Right? So what she's done is she's set up a system with her teams and with her leadership, with the board, where she's got them to label the email title. They're not allowed to use the word urgent or even important, right? So she labels it, or they're all labeled things like for your information. So that's the ones where she's just CC'd. The other one might be for your action today. That's where she needs to be across it or get something done. And she has 4 or 5 different email labels so that she can then scan her inbox. It's almost like doing it with a traffic light system. Is it red? In which case, immediate attention. Is it amber? I can park this and like come back to it later. Is it green? It doesn't really matter. Or is it the other way around? Should it be green first? Whichever works for you. Right, so that was one of her ideas that she came up with when doing this Wheel of Life exercise. It's good, huh? All right, what else have you got? What insights can you share? And I agree, Andrew, it's fine for internal emails, but not external. But still, there can often be a ton of internal emails. Yeah. So what have you done to focus? What are the 3 things that you can do to make your key categories happen? One volunteer, please. Andrew, are you willing? Okay. No problem. Okay, so we have got a bit of extra time and I'm wondering, let's carry on with this. All right, so as you look at this list, you know what you need to do, what you can focus on to push the needles. Ask yourself now, what resources and support would help me?
I've basically, whilst you're posing those questions, I've kind of been thinking about our industry, and our industry predominantly is quite reactive when it comes to external emails, and also as well, we don't favour automation. So what we don't want anything automated, and delegation is normally between us as humans.
Wonderful. So what would help you streamline that interpersonal response?
Well, we're actually, because we're in the office and we're quite a collaborative company, we speak to each other like all the time. We're rarely remote unless we're conversing with the team up in Leicester. So when something needs to be discussed, you know, whether it's you know, a subject matter or whatever, it's quite easy for us just to stand up or talk across the desk. We're close to each other 5 days a week, you know.
Mm. That's wonderful that you have that closeness and that ability. I'm wondering if that can be quite distracting at times. Is there any structure to that?
No.
So what are you getting, Drew?
Well, yeah, are you basically asking, because we are so close to each other and we are in the office all the time, do we get distracted or do we get pulled away? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Not really.
Okay, perfect. So if it works, fantastic. We're looking at what are the areas where we can actually improve or optimize. So as you looked at your wheel of life, Drew, would you be willing to share any areas that you would like to really focus more on, and 3 things that you could do to help you do that?
Yeah, it's yeah. I mean, when I was doing my pizza, I, you know, kind of realized how much time, you know, how much of my out of my 8 slices, so to speak, 6 of them revolve around work, and 2 of them are outside of work. And the 2 which I probably need to focus on, which would be at the outside of work, is obviously time with family. So time management is something I need to work on. Also, being present within the time I do have at home. And from the other 6 slices, in terms of a work perspective, you know, there are parts in which I could probably do differently, or could probably change in some cases. But you know, our job is also 24/7. So I think the one thing that I probably could do is less work outside of working hours in terms of responses to emails. Like I've just mentioned there, our emails externally are very reactive, and probably use that time to spend a bit more time, or be a bit more attentive, definitely attentive to, you know, wife and kids.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you, Drew. And there's a key word that you used there, which is about being present. And I don't know if you all can relate to this. Sometimes you're at work and you're thinking about family, or you're with family and you're thinking at work. Presence is quite an issue, and that can be incredibly draining too, because it feels like you're constantly pushing against resistance and not getting enough done and letting somebody down. So we will have future sessions on really how to get present. It's part of the focus as well. Okay, final question. You've got this strategy, right? You've got a map now, if you like, as to how you can focus your time, focus your effort. How are you going to keep yourself accountable? Take a moment, write it down. What are you willing to let go of in order to achieve this, essentially? And what's the upside if you do? what becomes possible when you do. So this is real rubber meets road stuff here, this question. Please drop in the chat or share here. What would you do to be accountable to getting this focus your time for success done?
I think the question isn't just if you were to change things, how would it improve other things? But I think there's also an element of how would it could potentially also have a negative impact in other elements that can impact further down the line. Because, for example, if we're talking from the balance of home versus work, life versus work, and we go, well, if I did less on the work side of things and have more time at home, then all of a sudden you're less financially secure, which then makes the home life less secure. And it kind of, I think with all of this, it's not just about looking where, because like, for example, on mine, I've got more of a split between stuff like pretty much mine's 50-50 between work and home. I know Drew's is slightly skewed a different way, but I've got things like time with family, time with friends, going out and doing activities I enjoy and stuff like that. If I were to reduce those, I would have more time to spend with family or doing work, but that might have a negative impact on how much I'm enjoying things and all of that. So I don't think there's a way to specifically say that you could reduce one and guarantee that it'd have long-term success impact. I think you almost have to relook at this on a monthly or weekly basis of where you are now, how it's impacted everything else, and then working out if that's the right option or whether actually you need to look at other ways that you can balance it better.
Almost like a cost-benefit analysis.
Yeah, I know that's going into a bit more of a factual base rather than emotional, but I think it is something that has to come into it.
Yeah, and what I love about that is it means that this this wheel of life, or this pizza, is quite a dynamic and living, breathing organism. You might be eating all of it at some times or not at all, right? And I'm also hearing that there is a real tension between your presence, right? Time with your family and friends, you time, and work time. And I noticed, like, when my kids were young, and now they're teenagers, they don't need my time. I'm here at home for them to sort of walk straight up the stairs and ignore me, right? But there was a time that when I was working at home during COVID, my kids always wanted a piece of me. And the minute I was distracted or doing other things, it was like, mum, 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 mum. But the minute I put down everything and I gave them my focus and exclusive focus, they needed me for like 2 minutes and they were off. So to me, I'm curious to see how much of that is a function of presence versus time.
I think from that side of things, especially if we're taking home and work as separate places, from a work perspective, we have to put in the time and the effort day in, day out. It's not something you can switch on and switch off, because if you switch off, it's especially the work we're in. I think a lot of businesses the same. The work you put in now will pay off in a few months' time. So you can't be reactive on a lot of it. You have to be proactive. So if you drop elements of it to focus on other things, you will find a knockback in the future. I think home can be the same in some ways. If you kind of switch off from friends for a bit and you go and focus on other stuff, then when you come back, you might not have friends to go back to. It's not as simple as just one. I suppose in all of this, you've got to kind of really take into consideration impact, not just right now. And that's what I was saying earlier about sort of from the financial perspective. Everyone would love it if they could do less work and make more money. It just isn't a thing that exists in the world. Effort is what brings in success. And you want, like we were talking about earlier, success will lead to a comfortable life if you're successful in all aspects of your life. I fully get you've got to then prioritize which aspects of your life are most important to you, because everyone is different. But I think if you switch off too much from individual aspects, you won't see the initial negatives that can come from it, but there might be some in the future. Not that you should take that into account as the only reason, but you've almost got to balance it in a way that you know has longevity, because being happy for the next 6 months is great, but you want to be happy for the next 20, 30, 40 years. And you want to have all that security that comes with that, both by having a close network of friends, family, loved ones and all of that, having time to yourself to do the things you want to do, and having financial security or a successful career and have the progression that comes with that. And everyone's different. For me personally, I think I need a degree of balance, but the two spikes I've put highest on my wonky spider's web is time with my wife at home and servicing my active clients. They're the two most important things out of the work side. Most important one is servicing active clients. The home one is the life one is the other one. I think that the other aspects, if I dropped them and just focused on those two, it'd seem great at first, but I would probably fall behind in other aspects that would then impact long term.
Yeah.
Sorry, long answer to a very short question.
No, I loved the answer to the question, and I think it's wonderful that you're taking such a long-term holistic approach. And you're right, it is a balance, and it's something that you're constantly going to be assessing. But the idea is that you're being intentional with your time and focus. This is the choice that you have, right? How can I make the most? Where do I need to sort of re-look at it, right? So that I really want to acknowledge you there, Matthew. Right. We've got 5 minutes left. Let me quickly jump back into our slides. So I hope this session has been useful to you, and that you've, I seem to have gone all the way to the beginning again, and that you've managed to create a roadmap in terms of how you focus your time and effort. I hope that you also have set an intention. I'm just going to also notice that Tarsio has added something into the chat, and so has Isabel, in terms of focusing your time, letting go of procrastination and perfectionism. And Tarsio has added to Matthew's analysis, do you think that at some point in our careers we inevitably make decisions that impact certain areas of our pizza? I work with business restructuring, which is naturally a dynamic and challenging environment. Most of the time when I'm involved in complex projects, I end up neglecting my family and health a bit, and this causes a lot of problems in my marriage, for example. Do you also feel this impact in your journey? Let's have a hands up for this one. I mean, certainly when you focus exclusively on certain things, there's a cost. So it's really a case of juggling. But the key thing here is right now what you've done is you've created the time and space to step back and to look at it and to go, where is this serving me? Where is this constructive? If it's working, like Drew said, add to it, right? If it's not working, create choice around it, play with it, try things out. Yeah, be intentional with your time, because where attention goes, energy flows. And that's especially true with relationships, right? And Consulting Points is all about relationships. It's in the relationship industry. All right, so if this has been of use to you, we will be running more workshops, right? Free workshops. Please keep an eye, sign up. Ping us a note if there's any particular topics that you want us to cover. We also run trainings, we run corporate workshops, and we have a group coaching program that comes up. I'm going to just very briefly put this on here. If this is of interest, reach out to me. So this group coaching program that we're going to be launching soon is every second week, and it's a 5-month program, and it really digs deep into how you can step into peak performance and well-being. Not one without the other. So it's really about how you can show up as your most present, powerful self, right? And within this, it's a group coaching with an intimate group, but you also get a 1-hour session with me. And that 1 hour, we're going to work out what mindsets, actions, and priorities will help you create the success that you want. So that's a very brief overview. But if you have any questions, if you have any insights or shares, or if you are curious to find out what it looks like for us to coach together or to run workshops, you can reach me at coach@Consulting Point or through the Consulting Point website. I'm just going to also drop down here my book me in case you want to schedule a call with me. Be my guest. I'm here to serve. Let me just go back to here and I'll drop that in the chat. And for now, with 2 minutes to spare, I just want to say thank you. It has been an absolute pleasure. And I would love, love, love it if you can just drop one word or 2 words or a short para as to what you personally got out of this session. Drop it in the chat.
Thanks, Georgina.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Thank you.
Yep. Take care and thank you all. Hopefully see you at the next one.
Thanks, Georgina. Bye.
All right. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Yeah. You're welcome.
Yes, thank you, Georgina.
Cheers, Ben. Bye.
I'm sure I'll see you soon. Take care. Cheers.